Stand by for record. You're listening to Popcorn Forest.
Round 1.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I appreciate
I'm counterculture, brother. I'm a rebel without a cause.
Have you had any fallen soldier or Lazarus words?
I think for me, a big one would probably have to be gumption.
What were you talking about there just now?
I would love to do an episode of a podcast. My only requirements are I need the...
I feel like it hits all the right notes. It just, it speaks for itself, really.
The carpet, like when you're in kindergarten or elementary school, where it's divided by squares and then each line of like each column of the squared carpet. I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't feel like there are any words that because I feel like a lot of it's just depending on the context. And that's kind of the thing too with a lot of the words that I was like thinking of or like, because this whole experience has made me, it's morphed my brain in a way to where I'm now viewing words, like looking at words, like the word sleek.
Oh, good word. I'm into it.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not autological.
What's that mean?
Autological is like a word that describes itself.
Oh, like crunch or no?
No. See, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Because pentasyllabic. This is what Jack was telling me one day because we were talking about words.
You have to, when you're on Popcorn Forest, you have to pretend that nobody knows anybody.
No, I know, but I had to mention it because if I talk about it,
okay,
and then he listens to it, he's gonna get mad because he's like, I'm the one who told you about that.
Okay, but now give us some context, but don't use the name of the place where you know Jack from.
Jack is my friend, one of my friends that was telling me that pentasyllabic is a autological word because it means to have 5 syllables. And pentasyllabic itself has 5 syllables.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Big stuff. We're breaking new ground.
Autological.
Yeah.
Really, this is the #1 show note so far for me.
And I really could not tell you for the life of me another autological word because the words that I'm thinking of that are kind of like that are like crisp, where I feel like the word crisp evokes the feeling of crispness. But is that like it's like a chicken before the egg sort of scenario where we are attuned to these words.
Crisp. You already got it in your brain.
Yeah, like you know the meaning of it.
Yeah.
And it's like sleek. Like the word sleek feels sleek. But is that just a case of like, man, they knew what they were doing when they made the word? Or is it just kind of like because we know what that word means that our brain just sort of developed this like mental imagery of it? Well, kind of like I was saying earlier, I just think it's funny. I like the just using like bigger words. I don't know. I feel like it's also kind of a way like to it's almost like by making it more awkward in using words that people don't usually use, like my speech when I'm talking to people.
Yeah.
Like using it, it's like it sort of provides humor to a situation without necessarily having to make a joke.
Okay.
And so there's that aspect of it. But also I think it's just because I feel awkward a lot of the time. So I think that using bigger words kind of like is a way to make it so that I'm like, how do I describe it? like you're making it obvious that you're being awkward. Like you're almost doing it on purpose,
Yeah.
sort of. So in that sense, it makes it easier to bear with the awkwardness by being more intentionally awkward about it, I
Yeah.
suppose.
You're like wading into the water, like with the water. That's not a perfect analogy, but that's what
Yeah.
comes to mind is just like, I'm just gonna like acknowledge it and then take it head on and almost like one up it or like go even like past it or
Oh. Yeah, I don't think it's not so much of that as much as it is I do just think it's funny though. Like I think that's part of it, but also I think cuz when I'm like for example, if I'm texting somebody and I'm like, "Hey, I'll be at your place in 5 minutes." To me that's just kind of a boring thing to say.
yeah.
And I don't really like it. So I'd just be like, "Oh, I'm slipping my way down to your abode." You know. That's what I texted you before I got here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you said I have arrived, which I like noted and I was like, well, some people say that, but it's less common. And then I was into it.
Oh yeah, no, I always say I have arrived whenever
and then it made me think of an alien.
yeah. I'm actually a skinwalker, Arie.
I feel like that's a reference from something that I don't
Like
know.
I wear other people's skin.
Okay. Isn't that not a reference from something?
I mean,
or-
it might be.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of something I heard one time and then added it to the memory bank.
It's making me
Sort of
think
thing.
of They Live. That's the main, but I don't think that's the term in the movie.
Yeah, I'm a reptilian sleeper agent
Tight.
sent to gather information, and we all communicate to each other via verbal Morse code.
It's all very autological. Like I just want to hear someone say like, I'm gonna go get some victuals from the store.
What is victual?
It's like food. It's like amazing. You're like, wow.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Where you're like you're because if you're just living life boringly
Without any victuals.
with that, yeah, like I'm gonna go get food from the grocery store. No one wants to fucking hear that. Okay,
Oh, I
that's
feel
some
like you want food.
boring shit. I don't want to hear about food.
They
I want to
wanna
hear
know about sustenance.
I want to know about sustenance. I want to know about victuals.
Exactly.
I want to know about nourishment.
Wait, was that one on there or was it?
No, I didn't have that. Did you have that?
Did we? I feel like you mentioned that, or maybe that word just showed up in the.
I've
pod.
been known to bandy around nourishment. Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Zeitgeist has always been an object of my affection.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while. Just do you know what like zeitgeist means?
It's I think like a Germanic origin word
Yeah.
that has to do with the Geist, like ghost, and it's like so I think a decent zeitgeist is like referring to the I don't know, almost like the atmosphere of like if you could take like the spirit of something and then like I'm just noticing how nervous I'm getting. But so I was like, do we know?
It's not
like,
I mean, it's not a quiz.
you're dead now. Zeitgeist is like it's like in the minds of people or a place without like being like defined like in like like defined in the same way that like something else would be defined. That's still not. So I don't know what zeitgeist means.
Yeah. Well, I don't really either.
No, that's
No. It's like I think it's like if you're talking about the current like cultural zeitgeist.
yeah.
It's just like kind of what's in people's minds or like kind of like what's happening around you, you know? Like ways of thinking and that sort of thing that are like part of the zeitgeist. What, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's just like
There is something a little bit like
a culmination of ideas and thoughts in like a given time, I suppose, or area.
zeitgeist.
Mayhaps, may have you.
What's like an example of something in the zeitgeist? People like pizza. That's not the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
I mean,
like Skibbity Toilet.
skibbity toilet.
Skibbity Toilet's part of the cultural zeitgeist.
Is that a meme?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. It's one thing to watch.
Skibbity toilet.
Okay. I shouldn't have brought this up, actually.
Readers, if you're interested in learning about a meme,
Dude, Arie, I'm not joking. Cut the part about Skibbity Toilet out.
okay, but I can't tell based on your tone of voice.
No. I actually cannot be talking about the Skibbity Toilet on my first podcast.
Okay, but you definitely have activated the curiosity button.
Well, no,
so
it's just
I'll just cut it all out.
Yeah,
I'm okay
not
with
all
that.
of it. Just the part about Skibbity Toilet.
Right. So that's like a mental minute marker. Go back and just chop it.
Okay, well, now that we've talked
Sorry.
about it enough, you might not have to chop it. You can do whatever you want.
I'm still chopping
No,
it.
you can do whatever you want. It's your podcast. I want to be raw and unfettered.
Okay.
In this
so
appearance.
we'll just release the whole episode uncut.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be fucking good. What do you mean? I've enjoyed it.
We've got miasma.
I
so
don't
it's
I don't know. Like, the thing is, I feel like just who wouldn't want to listen to us talk for like 2 hours, you know?
Oh, about like most of humanity. So what podcasts do you listen to?
I mean, it's just usually like just random comedians podcasts.
Okay.
Like, you know, like Shane
don't
Gillis or like, oh, well, yeah, I guess you wouldn't know, huh?
I know 5 comedians.
You don't know the inner workings of my devious mind.
No, I hardly know you.
Well, no, like Bill Burr's or like Shane Gillis or just like random people. Yeah, it's mainly just like I'll watch like, you know, just random YouTube videos about just different shit. Like watch a lot of sports, like recapping sports beef.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like those
While
sort of-
listening to Shane Gillis, you said?
No.
Oh,
Well,
it's
these are like different things.
Okay,
So like just
got
different
you.
things I'll listen to while I play like a game or something. Yeah.
So you would play a game, listen to Bill Burr, but not watch YouTube's sports.
No, I would watch YouTube and play the game too. I have 2 monitors, so it's like, yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not following.
I'm a dopamine overload.
Okay.
Yeah. It's straight into my veins. Give it to me. Give it to me. I
Is
need
it like ultimate,
I need it now.
ultimate multitasking? Or,
It's not really multitasking. You're just listening and then because I'm not actually like watching the video. I'm like
Yeah.
listening to the video and then
okay.
visually
Listening to sports beat.
It's audio versus visual, you know? Like I'm visually doing something and then or what are you doing? Like auditorily, I guess. Auditorily, I'm doing something else.
and you're like, I don't need the sounds.
But I
of
am
the
good at
games.
multitasking.
Yeah?
Yeah. Have you ever brushed your teeth while peeing?
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's probably been a minute.
yeah, because I was thinking about that the other day because I did that. I was like brushing because I was in a rush and I was like, I gotta go. Like I gotta leave. I gotta brush my teeth and pee at the same time. And I had that thought in my mind, like this is probably the first time in my life that I've done this. And that it was like a truly unique experience, like something that I've never done before, but also something so mundane that if I had any sort of mental lapse, I wouldn't have even noticed it. But in the moment, I was able to recognize what a like achievement it was, you know?
Genuinely fascinated by this. If I was listening to this podcast, I'd be like, I'm really into this segment about like self-awareness science. Like you did something new for the first time.
Yeah, you know, it's like a moment of small pleasure, you know? Like, ooh, never brushed my teeth while peeing before. That's cool.
I surprise myself every day.
Yeah. I think miasma is the best word in the English language.
Shit.
What do you want out of this, Arie? What do you want?
Out of the pod?
Yeah. What are you after?
That's too big a question.
Yeah.
I can't summarize it in one sentence.
I didn't ask you to.
Or I could sit I could sit here for Yeah.
What if we have a podcast about podcasting?
See, I think that's really cool, but I think
Yeah.
it also has to be well researched too.
Yeah.
I think I'm
This is you doing the research to make that podcast.
a podcast about podcasting.
Yeah.
Well, I would say globally, what I'm interested in is like making a group of episodes that like reveals like just this sheer like individuality of people. And I think that's probably like the broadest like interest that I have is just like showcasing how amazingly like unique every person is, even though we all have like so much in common, but just kind of like having like an auditory exploration of that, like making a space that's really about like trying to like see that come to life through audio. And I think on a personal level being really fascinated by this like way that like we're all unique, and we're unique even to the extent that like every one of our voices is unique, like in our intonation and the vocab that we use, like, and then like
This is a good way to wrap it back in to the subject of the day.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like I have this like list of notes. This is also like not podcast edit. You're not supposed to talk about your podcast on your podcast.
No,
You're not supposed to be reversed interviewed.
It's too meta. Well, yeah, I'm flipping the table on you.
I mean, I'm into it. Like I want to talk about it, but I feel self-conscious that I have this list like on my notes app of just like different themes that I want to produce like episodes about, and like different questions that I feel like are interesting to ask everybody, almost as a kind of like sociologist about like how do people think about like one that I could say is like climate change, but I also feel like I don't really want to use that term like anymore in conversation with people, because I feel like now like that's like all the quote like big questions or big themes, like there's like a soundbite for everything, so it's like I want to talk about those
like
things.
a rehearsed sort of
like response. Everyone knows like what to say about all these like big things or just all these issues, but I do want like, you know, like for example, like I thought about, I was like, oh, I didn't know that you had like a brother who was autistic, that like that like one of the themes was like, oh, like neurodivergence or like diversity are like both subjects that I think are super fascinating.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, just because I feel like my experiences with him have kind of like, I don't know, because it's like I don't know really, like because it's a spectrum, right? So everybody's on it to an extent.
Yeah,
like, or not even to an extent. Yeah, we're it's like the current zeitgeist, you know, and like, so it's like I don't know, because obviously, I don't want to say obviously, but I'm not as autistic as he is. So it's like kind of a weird thing, because I kind of get that like perspective where like I know exactly how he is and how he reacts to things, and like, but I'm not the one experiencing them. So it's like I just have that intimate knowledge without actually knowing how to go, like how it actually goes through his mind, you know, like, and how it just like the different ways where he's like very like the responses he has to like certain sensations and like sounds, and how just he really can't like handle change that much, like kind of set in his own sort of like patterns and habits. So it is an interesting thing, and I think a lot of people who don't have siblings like that, they just kind of see it and they're like, oh, this person's like fucking weird, or you know, like there can be judgment applied to it a lot of the time, but it's just like that's just how their brain's wired, you know.
Yeah. I feel like I want to ask another question and say something and feel like possibly there's like something else you're going to add, or maybe it's just that I'm like thinking about something else at the same time. But like this distinction, or this like the way that like an experience of growing up with somebody who has like a particular set of traits that are like different from quote unquote like neurotypical ways of like interacting with the world, then like it's different for you when you are, let's say you went over to your friend's house and like their sibling was like on the spectrum, and you're like, maybe you had like a glimpse, but it's not like when you are then like spending time with your brother like every day and you like get a much more in-depth like sense of like what's going on for him in his world. And I'm not sure what the question is there. I might be getting to it.
Yeah. Take your time.
It's all over.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But yeah, so like neurodiversity, but then, you know, in neurodiversity, like as it relates to like kind of quote unquote conditions, but then also like, I don't know, even the sense that like, I feel like once you like get to know people really well, you also start to get a sense of like, holy shit, like you're so unusual in all these little ways that like you could never, you know, just like find out by like ringing them up at the supermarket or.
Yeah. I think that, well, also it can be, because I don't even know how this really relates to, I don't know if this is more of a general thing, but I feel like for a lot of people that like in their day-to-day lives, or like even like when you see people every day there, and people you interact with and you're friends with or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like this thing where when you're interacting with people that you essentially like get boiled down to like these base characteristics, and sometimes there's not really like a deeper like level or even like an effort in trying to understand like how people are or how they're operating. And I feel like just the way that people's minds, like even who aren't necessarily like neurodivergent or, you know, have something else going on, like they're like baseline, if you want to say that. I don't know the terminology.
I mean, it's really hard. It's like, it almost feels wrong to try and put words around.
Yeah, I don't
like,
want to say normal, because it's like, but you know what I mean. But like, I feel like even like just your average person, I'm making it worse, probably.
It's like,
I don't know.
What is your average person?
Yeah.
But I want to, you're on a roll of a thought.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Like, we're all so different already.
Right.
It's like just the way that people process things and react to things and like their systems of value. I just think everything would work a lot easier if people weren't so set in their ways, or just like took some like modicum of effort to like try and be more accommodating to other people. And like just the way that other people act or do things or say things, just like, you know, people get picked on and mocked for like the tiniest things, or like people dislike each other for the smallest things. And it can just, you know, when sometimes you don't even try and like actually talk to a person, you know?
Say that in a different way. When you say you don't even actually try and talk to a
like
person.
you talk to them, right? Or like like if you're at school or at a job, or like you're forced to operate in the same space as someone else, you'll be cordial, or like you'll do whatever. Or and some people just aren't really interested in actually getting to know other people or certain people, and then they'll like cast this judgment or kind of this like idea they have of them in their mind, and then just kind of roll with that and run with it, and then just have no like deeper interest in actually trying to figure out what that person might be like or like what they have going on. And not to say you should do that for everybody, because you'll burn yourself out if you try and do that with every single person. But at least if you're not going to try and like learn about people and like what they're going through, don't, be a dick to them. Because that was something. My brother got bullied in like all throughout school just because he was different, And so that was kind of like a personal thing for me, because I remember being a kid and like he like they had to take him out of the school that I ended up going to, the public school that I went to. They took him out because he was getting bullied, and they put him in a school that was specifically like catering to like what his needs were. And we had to pay a lot of money for it. But yeah, so it just sucks because it's not even like, there's anything necessarily wrong with him. It's just that he didn't fit the mold of like what the other people were like.
Yeah.
And they single that out, and they're just like, yeah, no. Fuck you.
And I've heard that there's like a phenomenon. I've heard.
Am I allowed to hit my vape?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm jonesing, brother. We're addicted to nicotine on Popcorn Forest. Nicotine addiction is a problem plaguing our society.
Going back to vocab world for a minute, this is a perfect example of like a thing that is in terms of your body, not, let's say, questionable drug and or bad for you, but the word so good.
Nicotine.
It just, I really like the action on it with I like the hard syllables. I think I like the multisyllabic hard syllables, like parasitic, where you're like, oh, I know it's bad, but I just got to say it.
Yeah. You know what it is to me? I think it's like multisyllabic is like each syllable is a brick. And the word is a pyramid.
Multisyllabic.
And we're
bricks.
building the fucking Great Pyramids with syllable by syllable. We are laying down the foundation for something greater. And that's truly what I think it is. That's why, and it's just like the longer a word is, the funnier it is to me.
I'm with you there.
Did you say Episcopalian earlier?
No.
I don't even know what that is, but it popped into my mind just now.
Episcopalian is like a denomination of like Christianity.
Oh, okay. All right. We should have a podcast about religion. That would be totally non-controversial and fun.
We could. I don't know what the like entry point for it would be in terms of like, I wouldn't want to do like, here's all the religions you can try out. It would be cool to talk about people from different like practicing religions and like just hear that as like an aspect of like how it is like a part of their life. And certainly like hearing about how I think for some people like religion is like incredibly like core to like their way of like navigating in the world, which is really fascinating. Like anything that like is like a I was gonna say like a high energy investment, but it sounded very clinical. But like anything where people are putting like a significant amount of time, or something that like is about like the way that they are like seeing the world is super fascinating. I don't know I don't know like how I would approach like a podcast on religion.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in order for that, you would definitely have to be like, you would have to have some sort of like actual, or be bringing on people that are like theologists, I guess. I mean, maybe if you're talking about like wanting pure accuracy or whatever, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. When you say accuracy, I guess you mean like in their ability to describe like the tenets of,
like not
of a religion.
Misconstruing like certain things about like about some religions or whatever, I guess.
Maybe,
I don't know.
If I was going to take like a take on that, it would be like religions that are like not very well known and just do like, I don't know, 5 episodes of like, here's a religion that like you've never heard about.
That's it, dude. That's why I talk about Calvinism sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I know most people, I think, have heard of Calvinism because it's in, like, you learn about it in school.
And it's like related to Catholicism, right? It's like
it's an offshoot of Christianity. Yeah, when they started the Protestant Reformation, they and then there was, I think it was John Calvin who founded Calvinism, and it's like this whole branch of Christianity where they believe that like your entire path in life, like everything that's gonna ever happen to you, is already laid out from birth. It's like the idea of predeterminism. And like, there's nothing you can do to change it because this is like the way that God has laid out your life. And like, there's certain aspects of that still with Christianity where when people go through like a tragedy, where certain people will kind of go with the idea that like, this is just what like God has planned for me, or like, this is like a trial that he's putting me through to overcome. So in a sense, I don't know if that's predeterminism though. I think it's more so like, they're saying like he's presenting challenges for you to like make you stronger, whereas Calvinism is more like, it's not a challenge, like this is just like what's happening to you,
and even your response is already factored in to like, you know, the predetermined path, like
and there's nothing you can really say like oh, I don't want this, you know. It's like, no, predeterminism. But I'm really fascinated by the idea of like the idea that like your life could not go any other way but the way it's going to, which is clearly not true. Like but it's the idea of like free will. Like, do we really have free will? You know,
this is for sure. Like, I think I think a question that like every person at some point like contemplates, and then I think on another level, like some people return to it like over and over and over. Some people like almost make it like their life's work in terms of like trying to like develop language around like free will and like conceptions of personhood and agency, and I think even like then extending it to like morality and things. But like, I guess what's coming up for me is like, what have you felt has been like the most like important aspect of like being on that journey for yourself? And were there any inflection points, or was there ever like I want to say like crisis point, but was there ever like a place where you were like thinking about that concept in a way that was like kind of changing your worldview? Or
just like anything that I like with free will, like having to deal with that. Because I'd say, because it was kind of interesting, because when I moved here, that was like I think it was the first time that I ever felt like I made like a drastic like choice in my life that severely altered like how my life is going to go or could have gone. Because there's like little things you do every day, you know, like whether or not you take a certain route to work or whatever. Like, I'm gonna go take a walk outside today. You know, whether or not you go on that walk could be the difference between you getting hit by a car or not, that sort of thing. But because my friend asked me to move here, or he asked me to move from North Carolina to California, and I made that decision, and I was like, I'm unsatisfied living in North Carolina, so I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to come out here and live on my own. And sometimes I do think about like how it could have, like, because it probably would have been smarter living with my parents and then just saving up money, and then it'd definitely be like financially more viable, but I don't think I like mentally would be as fulfilled. But I think part of that is also how much of me moving from North Carolina was free will, you know, because it's also like, I do think about it in the sense of we all have like, our brains are wired in certain ways where certain people are more outgoing, certain people aren't as outgoing. We have different likes, different interests. So you could never, I don't like, you can make efforts to like make someone who is more of like an introvert, you can maybe try as an introvert to like be more outgoing and like put yourself in more social scenarios. But at the end of the day, like that's part of like just how your brain is. And like you're never going to be as fully comfortable as someone whose brain is wired in a more extroverted way. And part of me thinks like maybe my brain was just wired in a certain way that I would never be satisfied living in North Carolina, and that it was never actually an option for me to stay because it was just something I disliked so much that it wasn't actually a choice. Like it was just I like had already come to the decision in my mind just by virtue of like the experiences I had there and how much I wasn't satisfied with it. So it was just a change that was inevitably going to happen, you know?
So you never really decided to...
No,
move out here
I actually
because,
never made any decisions in my life.
You were just responding to your brain circuitry that was like, I need more California and less North Carolina.
Well, I guess that's every decision we make in a sense. It's all just responses to brain chemistry in a way.
Yeah, I would say like on one level of analysis, that's true. I would say like as a way to summarize like what human life is about, I feel like it doesn't like encapsulate like some kind of fundamental mysteries that I would put forth as like are beyond like human capacity to really sort of like simplify. Also, I'm like always surprised that the time goes by so quickly.
Yeah,
and
I was surprised too.
I'm like,
yeah.
How are you for time? Am I holding you up?
No, I'm good. I can keep going.
I'm like legit like love this feeling of like, okay, you start off the conversation, you get the butter sizzling, you put in the meat, you tender.
You drizzle some honey.
Popcorn
Forest.
Don't drizzle
drizzling honey on the meat.
Get
honey
that?
on the meat
Nope.
on popcorn.
All of this is being cut it out metaphorically.
I'm gonna metaphorically cut your throat.
Okay. So
with my metaphorical knife.
I'm trying to get somewhere about putting meat in the oven, and you.
Arie's putting the meat in the oven on Popcorn Forest. Stay tuned for the next episode where the meat comes out of the oven.
It takes one full episode for the meat to cook.
That meat's cooking.
You could argue, well, you don't need to have a podcast to have long conversations. But
it's a great avenue for it, though.
it is really cool, though, to like specifically have like a way to set aside like space and be like, oh no, actually, like this is a place where you can open up a box.
Opening the box. What's in the box? Remember when we were going to talk about words for 10 minutes?
And then another honorable, well, not even an honorable mention. It probably should have had a spot on the list, but unfortunately, my tiny mind could not conceive of it at the time. Pyrrhic, as in a Pyrrhic victory.
I also need to be sitting on a race car bed during said podcast in order to activate my childlike wonder.
Or a victory coming at great cost.
Unedited Popcorn Forest. Raw footage. Visceral reactions. Never before seen moments.
far to the east and far to the west. You've come from the ground and you've come from the skies for this night event only. Words! 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 Our contestants have lined up 50 words for tonight's challenge. And to begin, let's start it off with
Ensconce.
Vicissitude.
Exacerbate.
Erstwhile.
Betwixt.
Aforementioned.
Gauche.
Let the fight
Forensic.
begin.
Mirage.
Gerund.
Jaunt.
Gyroscope.
Harmonious.
Phylogenetic.
Cognizant.
Glyph.
Pungent.
Hello.
Languish.
Igneous. Okay, that completes it.
Ecumenical, you have been eliminated from Popcorn Forest in the morning. The word tournament to rule them all.
Do you have
I
your
think
GC selects?
I do have my this is my fantasy draft. Like, this is the dream team, like, of words. I've assembled a crack squad here that could take down any words you put up against them. I feel like this truly is like SEAL Team 6.
Okay.
And they're taking down Bin Laden. I was thinking something like, so my notes app that I have all these words on, I went with the basic minimalist title of words, words, words.
That's pretty good.
I think it says everything you need to know and almost nothing at all.
Appropriately vague, but catalyzes some intention.
Yeah.
Attention.
Titillating in a sense. Spoiler, titillate is not on my list.
If you were listening and
for
this
all
didn't
the
get cut out,
for all the fans of titillation out there, titillation is not going to be making an appearance on my list tonight.
maybe there could be okay, enough meta talk from me.
I feel like some of my words here, I was thinking of words, and then I started thinking of categories of words. I don't know. It's just words that evoke like a certain feeling, like insults, for example. Like I've got quite a few insults on here.
Oh, I see.
I'm a big insult guy. I like mockery. It's different when you're in conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And you're talking to people, and then the words just come into my brain. I'm not reaching for them, to most of the time, at least. But I feel like with this instance in particular, I was definitely like just racking my brain, and the more I thought about like what's a unique word, or like what's a cool word, it's like the illusion of choice, where there's so many that you can't think of any. Almost like but I got there. We got there eventually. Words. Popcorn Forest with the words.
Juniper.
Fortuitous.
Jumpsuit.
Lickspittle.
Kinesiology.
Wastrel.
Litigator.
Matriculate.
Limousine.
Befuddled.
Numinous.
Decadent.
Miasma.
Hog.
Pneumatic.
Malnourished.
Viewfinder.
Sizzle.
Victuals.
Exodus. Oh, dude, I had miasma as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. The whole episode's worth it now.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Dude, I was wondering if we would go bar
Yeah.
for bar for one of them.
I was
matching.
like, I really
so
hope so.
this proves that miasma is a good word. Like, we know for sure. If I know anything,
Yeah,
if there's anything to take away from this,
100%.
miasma is it's in the top seat right now.
It is literally the Mew or the Mewtwo.
Yeah, no, miasma is like O2 Barry Bonds right now, smacking dingers. Okay. The only word we had, I mean, there are a lot of words. Don't get me wrong, a lot of words in the English language, but the only word that we had in common. Actually, if anything, it's impressive we even had one in common, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's like statistically quite incredible, really.
So this is a big one. We've talked about. Okay, wait. No, we don't want to do this. We don't want to have a whole introductory because
We can go back.
No,
and do
we
that.
can go back. We can go back. I don't want to spend 5 minutes like going red carpet. Get ready for this one.
Yeah, imagine all of what we just said cut out now.
This word needs no introduction. You all know who it is.
Oh, now it's a subsection.
Hailing from the Rocky Mountains, standing at 6 feet tall, weighing 187 pounds.
All right.
Okay,
Hit me with
Without
it.
further ado, we've got ensconce. See, that was one thing that I was considering because I noticed you've had words that are mainly like applicable to certain fields or like describing certain fields. Like I was thinking about like maltodextrin.
Ooh, good word. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Can't believe you.
I did have maltodextrin in my back pocket this whole time.
Thank God you
and I didn't
brought
pull
it
the trigger.
out.
Yeah. I was waiting to wow you. Once you thought I was done, once you thought you heard the top 50, you let your guard down. And then I hit you with the maltodextrin.
It's so good.
So really, miasma is the king. Miasma is the king of all words. And tonight is the crowning.
It'd be cool to ask like 100 people and then see if like a common word came up, or to do like,
Or like Family Feud. Like we surveyed 100 people. What's the best word?
yeah.
And miasma is the number one answer, brother.
or just get straight to the punch and say, is it miasma? Or how do you feel about this word?
Which is interesting too, because a miasma is a cloud of death.
It's not exactly good.
It's not a positive thing.
Yeah.
But it evokes beautiful imagery in my mind.
So this is according to Merriam-Webster. There is no exact count of the number of words in English, and one reason is certainly because languages are ever expanding. Okay, but now, after scrolling, and it says, it has been estimated that the vocabulary of English includes roughly 1 million words, although most linguists would take that estimate with a chunk of salt. Phantasmagorical.
Legume.
Phenomenologically.
Ambivalent.
Sinusoidal.
Erroneous.
Solenoid.
Maniacal.
Hemoglobin.
Paltry.
Hermaphroditic.
Ne'er-do-well.
Regale.
Troglodyte.
Hypermedia.
Dubious.
Heraldric.
Serendipitous.
Sorrel.
Dichotomy.
Selection criteria is like you wanted to pick words that were like in a relative rotation in your life, that they wasn't just like you kind of,
Because utility is a big factor for me in all this, you know. I don't want words that are too good to be used. Like not too good like they're too high quality, but too good like they think too highly of themselves.
oh yeah, that's a real assault of the
Yeah,
earth.
I like me a humble word. A humble working man's word. That's what I like. Ne'er-do-well is fire. Which, by the way, I did look up ne'er-do-well just to make sure that it was a word and not a phrase,
Okay.
because it's just a shortening of never do well, but then it's like applied to a person as an insult, or you know, like putting them down or saying that they're like a lawbreaker, what have you.
They're like getting into trouble. Is that?
Yeah, because they never do well.
Okay.
But not like never do well, like, oh, they fail at everything, but like as in they're doing bad, like morally.
Okay.
But like ne'er do well is a fucking amazing word because it's got apostrophes in it. It's got two dashes in it. Just the composition of the word itself is very unique. So I had to give that a shout. I had to, back my boy there.
So that was another aspect of selection or like awesomeness was like the like unusualness of like the word formation, like with the apostrophes and the.
Oh yeah, because every word that you see on a daily basis, they're all just letters put together. I feel like when you start introducing things like dashes and apostrophes, it's like eating bread every day and then someone put a little honey on it,
With a little dash.
Yeah, a little dash of honey. Yummy. So good. I love it. I love it, Arie.
Dash.
I love that dash of honey.
But I'm trying to think about the.
You can't see it
for this.
Listening to the podcast, you can't see it, but I've got a jar of honey.
You can't
next to me
see
right
the
now.
honey, but you can feel it through the dash.
I'm putting my fingers in the honey, and I'm eating it.
There,
I think sizzle. Is sizzle onomatopoeia? That's the burning question on everyone's mind right now. Would you classify sizzle as onomatopoeia?
I wonder if people ever, for fun, just communicate in Morse code verbally.
Well, yeah, that's because it's tapping, right?
Yeah.
So you can tap Morse code, but like, would they know how long the dashes are if you're doing it with your mouth?
Amber.
Milk toast.
Pluto.
Turgid.
Ember.
Menagerie.
Amalgam.
Quench.
Chromoly.
Yearn.
Metallurgical.
Vehemence.
Alloy.
Epiphany.
Endometriosis.
Schism.
Solipsism.
Morbid.
Retrograde.
Hubris.
That's mainly where it would be at for me. I don't know. Morse code listeners, call in to the number that doesn't exist.
Tap into
Popcorn Forest. Hit me with your Morse code on Popcorn Forest. We're doing clandestine operations. Sending our agents out to the Middle East at Popcorn Forest.
I also feel like really to do a proper second episode, we have to read the dictionary. That's really where I'm at right now. I'm like, the only way to do justice is to read the dictionary.
I've been told that my whole life. I feel like that's all I've ever been told is read the fucking dictionary.
Read the dictionary?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Seriously?
No.
Because I was like, I wonder whose advice was to read the dictionary and why not the encyclopedia?
Well, when they're like, oh, what does that word mean?
Mm.
And then they're just like, I don't know, maybe you should read the dictionary.
Yeah, time to go to watch and all that.
Yeah. I've never bought a dictionary before in my life. Like we might have had one in my house growing up, but I feel like I've done a disservice to as a representative with my own like field of words coming in here, claiming to like have enough knowledge to select like the top of the top, the cream of the crop words. I'm doing a disservice by not owning a dictionary, I've always asked people like, what are your least favorite words? Like what words don't you like?
Really?
And moist.
Yeah.
People hate moist.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost always the answer I get. But I love moist.
Huh. A moist muffin.
I don't love a moist muffin, but I love the sound of. I mean, I wouldn't say I love the sound of moist.
Oh, so what do you like?
I
like
I
it?
think
You
it's
tolerate it, or you?
I mean,
you
it's
like for some other reason.
Well, I feel like it's counterculture. I got to be a contrarian. I have to play devil's
I
advocate.
like moist for
Yeah.
for countercultural
I like it
reasons.
because they don't like it.
Okay,
Yeah. And I'm a rebel in that sense, you know.
got you.
And I would say do you have any words that you don't like?
Just what criteria? Like not thinking, like
Just hearing it, you know?
off the cuff.
Just visceral, gut reaction. Don't like it. It's out. Eliminated.
bunghole's funny.
I actually do like bunghole a lot.
This is another aspect of the.
I like stinky poo poo fart. Like that combination of words is really funny to me. Like stinky poo poo fart, I feel.
just to line up three, they go down. They go down well.
Like if there's anything you can take away from this episode, it's that miasma
Right, which
is the top 50 word, and I'm a big stinky poo poo fart kind of guy.
And a fart is like a miasma.
Yeah. No. Oh my God.
So-
The connection. That was from the top rope, brother.
Helium,
Scrounge.
iodine,
Zeitgeist.
epistemology,
Purgatory.
pedagogy,
Miasma.
predicament,
Exhume.
decrepitude,
Lackadaisical.
luminous,
Got rambunctious.
valence,
Engorge.
germane, sorry,
Niche.
lampoon.
And jubilant. I'm often frustrated with that aspect of living where I consume liquids and at the end of the day, there's no point. It's just going to be expelled from my body within a matter of hours.
Really?
But if you love something, you have to let it go.
Is this like a space, like a mental space that you visit like more than once about like liquids and bodily functions?
I mean, not on a consistent basis, but it crosses my mind every once in a while, where I just think about how we're just giant meat machines, like we're like golems, automatons comprised of organic components, where we're essentially just like, I don't know, we wake up. We fuel our vessels with nourishment and what was the word?
Victuals.
Victuals.
Yeah.
I mean, we essentially are just machines. You're putting coal in the furnace, you know. Food is the coal. We are the furnace.
What about the notion though that am I cutting you off?
No.
What about though the way that like the more that you describe something in a particular way, the more that like you can conceive of like yourself in that way, and it becomes like reinforcing. Because there's many ways in which like people are not like machines, like even remotely.
Yeah. I guess at a base level, that's what I'm talking about. But I definitely do reinforce my own ideas by believing them. I think that's kind of having
like how
beliefs is,
belief-
right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's a strong belief. It's just kind of an idea I've had. I'm not a big proponent of the meat machine way of thought.
But we do. It is true. Like there are a lot of like patterns in our lives that are like accounted for, and it's not like we're gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, you know, don't have to do that anymore. And like I mean, kind of going back to this free will thing, right? Like there is a huge amount of your life that's like dictated by like just the base level of like you're getting your needs met, and I mean that could be like a whole other spin-off, or like you could go down the rabbit hole of like, you know, well, if like the more that you have your basic needs met, like then like your opportunities to like develop a life outside of like your physical needs like is drastically different than like people who are like spending most of their time like just getting their needs met, and then life really is kind of just like almost like a repeat plug and play like operation where it's like probably I don't know, I don't want to speak for anyone but myself, but it's like the only place where then like when everything in my day-to-day life, like if I'm working like a 9 to 5, etc., and like that whole day is accounted for, it's only like in the space of like my mind where there's any opportunity for something that's like off of the script of like I don't know, just like all the stuff that's happening outside that's like more or less going to be the same and is meant to be the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that having like a set schedule every week and like doing the same things makes it sort of monotonous in ways that are really bad for you that I don't think I've even become aware of until recently, where I like when I'm on my like 5 day in a row of working.
Your burner.
Yeah. Once it starts, I feel like I'm locked into like ways of thought or like my brain is almost like being constricted to where I can't think about like my mind doesn't feel free, where it's like I'm constantly like going in circles about like one subject or the other or another. And it is pretty constricting. And I don't really know where I'm going after that. That's the thing. But yeah, having the regimen, I think, limits your creativity and like just things that you can take value in, or like being just like just able to like put your mind on other things, or like kind of consider things you hadn't before. I feel like that was kind of rambly, but
Rambly is good.
Rambly is good, but I wish I had a more logical, consistent train of thought. It's just like, I think it just having the schedule makes you. It definitely constrains you in a way. I feel like it limits our potentials.
Where is the version of you out there in the world that is not constrained by your schedule? And I guess a more realistic version of that question is like, so on your days off, like, is your experience of life like different in many ways, and how is that informed by like your schedule and not being there?
Well, today was good. Today I was in my new apartment, took a walk around the neighborhood, able to just enjoy the day, eat my sandwich. I really hate having things scheduled, pretty much. Like not even work, just like anything in general. I feel like if I have something that's coming up, like if I'm doing something on that same day, I feel like I am not capable of enjoying myself outside of, because I feel like it's just prep for whatever you're doing, you know? So it's like, if I wake up and then I have work at 2, in my morning, everything I'm doing is just me thinking about like, ooh, I got to go to work at 2, you know? And then I'm not able to fully like enjoy other things that I want to do before that. So it's just kind of like, that's the grind, you know? And
grind mind.
Yeah. Oh, and my mind is ground. Like ground beef.
So just scheduling in general like changes like the content of your thoughts.
Yeah. But also I think that not having a schedule is also really bad for your mind.
You've mentioned this, I think, like a couple of times. I've overheard you talking about this. I'm like curious to hear you say more about that, and if you would.
No, I don't want
to.
Okay. No, it's just anytime I'm not employed, and by any time I mean the 2 times between me,
all 15 times that you were unemployed.
Yeah, the 2 times in my life where I had like a 2 months of not doing anything, whether it was school or, I think, altogether since I stopped going to school, or since I graduated from high school or whatever, I've only had like 4 months where I wasn't either in school or had a job. and those 4 months were excruciatingly bad.
Whoa.
Just because like you waste away. Like I wasn't doing anything. Didn't have any like there was no progress being made. That's my fault. I just feel like if you that's why I can't.
Round 1 concluded.
Some people are like, oh yeah, if I won the lottery, like I just quit my job and then just live however. I mean, I
To support Popcorn Forest, you can check out various links at Linktree by searching for Popcorn Forest. The URL is linktr.ee/Popcorn Forest. Show notes for this week are twofold. First up, autological words. We have an article about autological words that comes from Henry Segerman. His website can be found at segerman.org, which is SEGERMAN.org. And now for a reading of some additional autological words. We have researchable, repeatable, translatable, classifiable, memorizable, forgettable, existent, spelled, synthetic, grandiloquent, post-Renaissance, and my favorite, sesquipedalian, which literally means from Latin a foot and a half, and in this case is referring to a long word, which happens to be itself quite long. That's SESQUIPEDALIAN. That's it for autological words. Up next is our second and final portion of show notes for the week, which is a segment called Zeitgeist. I'm going to let this play in its entirety, and we'll have it take us out for the week. Okay, that's it from me. This has been Arie Dallas recording for Popcorn Forest. Toodaloo.
I'd never been to the bar, so I've just heard about it. So Zeitgeist for me reminds me of my friend Travis.
So there's a bar in San Francisco called Zeitgeist?
Zeitgeist.
Yeah, do you want to say what comes to mind for you on that subject or that word?
I would describe Berkeley as, it's on the top of my tongue. Zeitgeist?
Zeitgeist.
What does that mean?
It means
Hi, students. Zeitgeist. What's the zeitgeist in Europe at the moment? In Spain, certainly. Crisis. What am I going to do? The crisis. There's a crisis. The zeitgeist, the spirit of the age.
Do you want to be on my podcast for a moment?
I wish I could. But I think for my age brackets, it's dread. A big one is part of it. And then particularly, for people a bit younger, there's a strong sense of dread.
Zeitgeist. I have no idea what it is, sorry.
Hi, my name is Kelsey.
Do you think that there's a spirit of an era for Berkeley?
Definitely.
What's an adjective that you would use?
And then I think also, in my generation at least, it's generational trauma is a big one. A lot of people now have the education to be able to process a lot of what their parents couldn't.
Unique? That's not an adjective.
There's no right or wrong answers on Popcorn Forest.
I'm being put on the spot. I'm so nervous.
But I always knew that the minute I get stopped in the street, I'm gonna have a panic attack, and then my mind will go like empty. So I'm not gonna be able to answer.
That's a whole theme for a podcast in itself. The way that knowledge is like accessible or not, depending on like circumstance.
Yeah, only when you're in a relaxed situation do you actually get to be as intelligent as you think you are. But zeitgeist, oh my god.
It makes me think of German, idea of something, sort of hard to describe, but sort of means, something around us, like trying to pin something that's hard to pin.
Zeitgeist means the spirit of the time. From the German expression, the ghost of this era. I'm Jose Duarte. I'm a graduate of UC Irvine back before you were born, 1990.
Thanks for introducing yourself for the podcast, too.
You're welcome. Have a pleasant day.
Okay? a way of living, the essence of thought. Yeah. So different groups and different nations have different zeitgeists. Yeah.
I wouldn't attempt to compete with Merriam-Webster.
Okay.
And what's going on in Berkeley, the zeitgeist in Berkeley?
Yeah, something that would come to mind for you.
Rainbow chug bandit bomb, bandit, 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 rainbow bandit bomb, rainbow bandit bomb, rainbow chug bomb, bandit, 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 bandit.
So when I hear about Zeitgeist, I think of a bar in San Francisco.
I used to go to Zeitgeist when I was in college quite a bit, and it's been a very long time since I've been there, and it still very much stands up. I love the outdoor patio. I love that it's below a freeway, and Zeitgeist truly has not changed, and I can say 17 years, and I appreciate that about it.
Building itself is a red shingled building. A logo of like a man.
Oh, you came to the right place. I saw it a few times on the wall in there.
Yeah. Put me in, coach. I am visiting, but efficiency, allegedly.
Alleged efficiency. Do you want to repeat what you said?
I said inventory management, which is adjacent to efficiency.
It's like a skull plus bunny ears on top.
Oh, yikes. I don't know. I think that they're going real fast. Spirit of the times. The future. I mean, it's scary. I think it's kind of scary. My name is Crystal, by the way. But at the same time, it's... I don't know if it's going to be bad. I mean, there's...
Can I ask you, like, what's a beautiful memory you have of your daughter?
Oh, wow. No, just her being born. I mean, that was the most beautiful thing. Yeah, that was her being born. Yeah, I think about everything with her every day. She was my only daughter. And we were close. So I think about it every day. Everything. All the good memories. Not that many bad, but